Kirwan's Game Store, the best place in gaming.
First place gets 2 boxes, second place gets 1 box, third and fourth half a box, fifth through eighth a quarter of a box with KGS points distributed throughout, which can be used to pay for tournament entries, among other things, at Kirwan's Game Store in Catskill, New York, where we are today for the Super Tournament. Still know who's going first. I don't know what Trevor's playing. I haven't gotten to see. I see a hand, and I see a Gear monster. Alright, so I'm going to put Mike on Gear. I'm going to put Trevor on Gear as well, because that's what it seems. And it would seem that Trevor is going first. He opens by setting a monster and setting 2 back rows. Mike activates mind control. I don't know if that was a hand or whether or not it was a Gear armor, but it's a great card to open with against a set monster. Reveals a lot of information. Mike follows it up with an Upstart Goblin, putting Trevor at 9,000 life points. Flips up the Ice Hand. Setting Ice Hand on turn 1 is a very risky play. Is opt to not yield any advantage. He's going to activate Torrential here on the summon of the Accelerator by Mike. Mike's going to set 2 and pass the turn back. He sets a monster, sets another back row. He's still got that Accelerator in his hand, so that monster's an unknown at this point. Mike draws Phoenix Chain for turn. He's got an MK2 in his hand, which he will then summon. He's also got an Accelerator in his hand that's going to summon the Accelerator from his graveyard, which he will then use. Summon another Accelerator from his hand. He's going to overlay here for a Gear X. No fear of back rows here. We'll see what happens. A Blackhorn from him. Does Mike have a Wiretap? Nope. He does not have anything to counter that. So that will just be the end of that. He does not seem to want to attack. He just passed the turn back to Trevor, who flips up Armor, which runs into the Phoenix Chain that he drew for the turn. Trevor has a Mind Control in his hand and an Accelerator. He's going to special summon the Accelerator. And overlay with the armor, get past that Phoenix Chain, leave it dead there for a Gigant. See if Mike has a response. Mike has the Torrential. Is there counter from Trevor here? I believe he has a Wiretap set that he opened in his opening hand. He has a 7 tools, alright. So he's going to go down to 8,000. That Upstart Goblin putting in work here. He's going to activate the effect of his Gigant. Get a free search. He hasn't normal summoned for the turn yet. He could add Arsenal and go on the offensive and then tribute it for armor and put it face down. Mike does not appear fazed by this. Got a smirk on his face. Not a position you want to be in, though. Mike, a very sarcastic player, appears to be joking. Trevor laughing about something. Still deciding on what he wants to grab here. I feel like Arsenal or Accelerator is the play here. MK2, it's basically an Accelerator. If you want to do more damage, you could just grab Accelerator and normal summon it, because he already has... Oh, he doesn't have armor in the graveyard. He didn't detach it for the Gigant. I guess he can't do that play. I was going to say he could just go on the offensive since it floats anyway, but he's just going to add the MK2. Is he going to swing? He's not level 3 in his graveyard for that Gigant to float into if it leaves the field. Just thinking here. Fans his graveyard out, sees an Ice Hand and the Accelerator that we knew were there. Looks at Mike's graveyard, he's going to see a Gigant, he's going to see his 2 Accelerators, the Torrential, which we know is on top already. Just going to swing at the Geargiano. So that's 1,300 damage right there. from Mike, which will put him down to 67. Sets a monster for his turn. Does not set a monster for his turn. Mike is shuffling his non-existent hand. Trevor's still thinking long and hard about this, deciding if he would like to proceed. Committing to the board, and he does. He sets a monster. Mike draws, sets a card, passes. This is not good. This is going to allow the Gigan to resolve again. Add Accelerator back from the graveyard, which is important. He doesn't want to necessarily get all the accelerators. His deck's accelerator is actually a good draw. It's usually very live. It allows you to make plays without being passive, i.e. like the set armor plays. It's better to draw into the accelerators than to draw into things like armor and whatnot. So it's important to add your accelerators from your graveyard back to your hand as opposed to adding them from your deck to your hand. Just thinking here. He's got Geargiano in his hand. I don't believe he wants to add Geargiano here for any reason. Yeah, he's going to add Arsenal. If he summons this, he can get 2 potential bad draws out of his deck. You know, that and the armor. Because he can swing with it, tribute it for armor. Keep accruing advantage every turn. That's what he's going to do. He's going to go on the offensive here. And that's a Mirror Force. Mike Jocelyn's one-of copy Mirror Force. Putting in the work. See, he gives the bang bangs. Good play there. This is strong for him considering that the Gigan wasn't allowed to float into anything because of the lack of rank 3s. Like they're still without monsters. Trevor sitting at 4 in hand, 5 in hand actually. 1 set card. I imagine he feels like he's in a pretty strong position. So Venus Chain's going to come down on the MK2. Cut that off. Although Trevor is looking quite good here, with Mike unable to make any real plays so far. He's going to special summon the Accelerator from his hand and the second Accelerator from his hand, which will overlay for another Gigan. Get this effect. Very normal summon this turn, so I imagine anything he could just add back as Accelerator. So he's going to add Arsenal. This will allow him to get the 3rd armor out of his deck if he needs to next turn. He's going to swing for 23. It's going to put Mike Jocelyn down to 44. Mike's going to set a monster and end his turn. Finally got a monster going. It could possibly be an armor, but we'll have to wait and see. I hear a sigh from Mike as he tries to resolve a needle sealing on the summon of armor off of MK2 from upstairs. Things not looking too good for Mike Jocelyn here in game 1. We'll see if Trevor wants to go for the Alucard play. He's going to add Accelerator back to his hand. Those are probably going to make Alucard, which is able to pop Mike's monster. Mike sees the play and he scoops it. Good play from Trevor here in game 1. Able to take a decisive Geargia mirror match victory. Oftentimes this is the way they go. Mike did win, and Trevor did win the die roll, which is a large factor in this matchup. This will allow Mike to go first in game 2. And let's see what he's working with. Problem is can't find Mike's deck list at this very second. I read it earlier, When I first got here, he showed it to me, and the handwriting is not exceptional, but we will try and find it here to get some information. Alright, there's Mike's. You got Trevor here too? Can't find Trevor's deck. First we're going to look at Mike's anyway, just because he is going first. It's quite important to check these things out. Let's see. In his side deck he has 3 DNA surgeries. We'll not be seeing those. 2 mystical space typhoons. 2 ice hand, 2 fire hand. Those are quite good in the matchup. Going first though, I don't know how much I would want them. 2 Maxis can be okay if you're just really banking on telling your opponent to just stop doing their plays. It's not a card to get advantage off of reliably. He's got a Soul Drain, 1-dimensional Fisher, 1 Macrocosmos, and what I believe... the card that I can't read. I talked to Mike about this earlier, so... he has a mystery card, we know that much. But in this matchup, I assume... I mean, Soul Drain can be okay, but the matchup is very reliant on getting an early lead and just keeping the lead. Relying on Soul Drain to bring back monsters from the graveyard to have a comeback play is not very good. Mystical Space Typhoon, like I've said earlier, not very good in the Gear Gimir. It's going to be a hard time for Mike's side decking. I imagine he puts those hands in. They do well against a field of Gigans. Now that we've established that, I guess we can look at Trevor's side deck. If I can find it here. Players are still shuffling, still presenting decks. Lots of Gear players here today at the Super Tournament, as well as some other surprises that I'm seeing as I go through lists here. Mike will be going first. He sets 2 cards to his back row, sets a monster, and ends his turn, passing back to Trevor. Trevor's Decklist now. Trevor draws, sets a monster, which I believe was a fire hand, and 2 back rows himself, passing the turn back to Mike. Mike has a Soul Charge in hand, has a Dark Hole, which I believe he main decks, has 2 Soul Charges, so he did side 1 in. Oh no, he main decks 2 Soul Charges, alright, so he's got 2 Soul Charges in hand. It's not terribly good, unless he's going to go very aggressive here, and it would appear he doesn't have armor, because with 2 Soul Charges in hand, that would be the perfect situation to flip this armor, if it were 1 in. Wiretap is going to answer Trevor's end phase Gear, the perfect answer to the card. I have to set their life points back to 8,000. Perfect answer to the card. One of the major benefits of going first is you're able to respond to a card like Gear with a counter trap card. Trevor's going to draw for turn. Shuffling his hand, thinking about his play. I believe Mike might have a hand set. Chances of it being an armor are not incredibly high, but it might be an armor. I just wouldn't see the reason not to flip it. I also think Trevor has a hand set. He has an accelerator in hand, we can see. Yes, it is an ice hand, alright. Mike has a book set he reveals to the camera. He's gonna swing, and it's a fire hand, yes. This is... they're laughing. I can hear them. I can hear them very clearly. So Mike's going to get his effect, and it's going to cause Trevor's ice hand to miss timing. Ice hand's going to summon from Mike's deck in defense position. Good exchange for Mike here. One of the most important interactions to know about the hands. I believe Trevor's saying he knew Mike was using the hands. He's going to summon armor for his turn. Interesting. He's going to summon the accelerator now, alright. Wonder what Mike has a book. Oh, okay, so he summons another accelerator. It was good Mike didn't waste the book on that accelerator. Could have turned out poorly for him. Black Ship is going to summon to try and deal with this ice hand, but we'll see if Book of Moon responds. Thinking about it. I believe he has a soul, yeah, he set one of his soul charges. Interesting, he's going to allow the ice hand to die, so he's going to take 1,000 here, bring him down to 7. I wonder what Mike wants to save this book for is the question. That was a smart play by Trevor, just summoning the armor, and then summoning the accelerator, and then summoning the third accelerator, allowed him to play around book. Okay, so he's going to Dark Hole there. Mind Control grabs him on Trevor's turn, and armor. This is the position that Trevor would like to be in with this Mind Control. Very strong play here. Mind Control, handy at swinging the Geargia Mirror Match in a player's favor if it hits the armor, which it oftentimes does. He's going to add an accelerator to his hand. Mike still has this book set, which he's going to use on the armor, yes. This will disallow Trevor from getting the ability to overlay with it. A, Mike will get it back during the end phase, and B, he might not be able to do anything with this hand. He might just have an accelerator here. He does. It's a good exchange for Mike once again. Not easy to deal with Mind Control in this mirror match, but that right there was a strong out. He's got 2 MK2s and a soul charge in hand. With another soul charge set, Mike has to play aggressive here. All these cards in his hand aren't going to do anything unless he expends resources to set them up. So he's going to have to start Xyz summoning and throwing them into potential back rows and monsters. He doesn't know what Trevor has said. I believe it might be that accelerator, though. He's going to add an accelerator of his own to his hand. Still hasn't normal summon yet. He's going to special the accelerator. See if this opts a response from Trevor. Trevor seems okay with it. Mike's going to overlay these for a Gigant. Not Gigant. Thinking Gigant. Alright, so Gear Gigant hits the field. Trevor, once again, nods. It's okay. It's not... I imagine it's not okay, but... He says, alright, you can do that. Mike detaches his accelerator. Search out Arsenal here, I believe. Yep, searches out Arsenal. It's going to swing at the face down with Gigant. It was a fire hand. This will destroy the Gigant, cause it to miss timings. Doesn't matter though. Mike didn't have any level 3s in his graveyard to begin with. Summon a nice hand defense position. Trevor is working with 2 of each hand. And does he have 1 extra copy of each in the side? No, he does not. So this means that that ice hand has 1 more target. Mike's going to normal summon his MK2, set an armor in his turn. Mike's still looking okay in this game. His hand not good at answering fields at all, but it could be good for dealing with things that destroy his field. Alright, he's going to summon Excite Knight, blow up 3 cards. Easy exchange here for Trevor. Trevor's going to swing for 0. Set 1 card and end his turn. Alright, Mike's got advantage here, and he does have ways to bait out this Excite Knight, especially the Soul Charge, but he'll be giving up life points to do so. He's going to activate MK2, which will special summon another MK2 from the graveyard. Alright, this... Oh, he's going to allow Mike to override. Does he have Temtempo in his deck? I believe he does. He has Alucard, alright. Does this opt a response from Trevor? No, it does not. It does, actually. There we go. Trapper, Trapple, Nightmare takes care of Alucard. Still, there's the effect... Oh yeah, you can't activate it because it's not during battle phase. So, he still has to deal with Excite Knight, but he can just make a 101 here. We're gonna see how much he pays for with the soul charge. Is he paying? I believe he's paying 4. He's thinking about 5, I think. He's thinking he's gonna summon a Girgian as well. He's going down to 2,000 life points. I like this line of play though because, as I said, he has to play really aggressive with this hand. In this way, he's going to deal with the Exciting Knight with 101, I assume. So this way, he leaves Trevor with no cards, and he will have a field of 3 or 4 monsters to Trevor not having a field at all. And he'll also have the 2 cards in hand. I was thinking he's gonna black ship the Exciting Knight. Alright, so that's 1,000 damage right there. No combat damage for Trevor this turn, but that'll do just fine. Mike Jocelyn very far ahead in this game now. Armor meets with Nobleman of Crossout, passes the turn back to Mike. Mike's normal summons Arsenal for turn. Puts up a board of game, I believe. Yeah. Right? 40, 44, yeah. Alright, so that's game 2 going to Mike Jocelyn. A very big soul charge, allowing him to pull ahead. And using his hand that appears to be suboptimal to the best of his ability. And now, of course, Trevor going first in the Girgian mirror match. You feel pretty good in this situation no matter what. He knows now that Jocelyn runs the hands and soul charge along with the Needle Sealing you saw game 1, so he's got a good amount of information to work with. That's always nice. Whether or not that will affect this game, it's hard to say. Trevor's looking through his deck. I think he's thinking about whether or not he wants to side. Appears like not. For this matchup, going first. For going second, he has the 3 Noblemans. He also sides into 2 Nightmares, 2 Trap Archetypal Nightmares, 2 Debunks, 3 Imperial Iron Walls, 2 Surgery, and 3 MSTs. So going first, I don't know if you want the 3rd Nobleman in, despite how good you might, despite how you feel about Nobleman in the matchup. I feel like 3 is a little overkill when you're going first. And I think he's probably, I don't even know if he's committed to the full package of Noblemans right now. He's taking a soul charge out, it looks like. I don't know what he put in though. Shuffling each other's decks. Both players exchanging witty banter. Alright, we're going into game 3. Trevor's going first. Let's see how he opens up. I believe he has an armor, an accelerator, an MK2, a Nobleman of Crossout, and an arsenal among his cards. A lot of monsters, no traps, draws a trap. I believe it's 7 Tools of the Bandit. He's thinking here. I believe he wants to summon the arsenal, but he opts not to. He does have an arsenal there, though. Doesn't try to thin the deck. He might be trying to play around a Veiler, I guess. Guess we'll just see. Mike's going to set a Fire Hand, a Black Horn of Heaven. Those are the only 2 ones I see. A slew of other cards. But Trevor's set up. Soul Charge and MK2. He shows the camera. These cards seem to really like him. Nobleman of Crossout comes down in the Fire Hand. Flips up the armor, activating its effect. Mike stretches. He knows he's not in the best of positions, but at the same time he does have that Horn of Heaven to answer any Gigant shenanigans that will be appearing. It'll effectively be a 1-for-1 since the overlay is a -1 and the armor was a +1, so he'll still be behind on 1 card just due to turn player advantage. But we'll see if that's the exchange that's going to go down here. But like I said, I believe Trevor does have a 7 Tools set, so you might see more than that happen. Or he might just play the defensive game here and put his armor face down. Saw him move his hand towards his armor. thinking here. Perhaps that was a bottomless? He's gonna summon an accelerator from his hand and overlay. Mike not doing anything. Now he picks up the Blackhorn. Blackhorn takes care of Gigant. Trevor, though, still no normal summon. He can summon his Arsenal, possibly swing. He can summon his MK2, just get the armor back and set it. See which one he goes for. I believe I would go for the Arsenal play here, bait any other back rows, maybe bring out another response. You're already ahead on advantage. You have your armor set up one of either two ways, through the MK2 or the Arsenal. Just gonna set a monster? Was that an accelerator, I believe? Passes his turn back. Oh, there's an Ice Hand, alright. I believe Trevor drew an armor for the turn. He's gonna swing with Ice Hand. Gotta get the life point going here. We passed back to Mike. Took a draw for his turn. He's looking at his cards. I believe Mike is at 68. Oh no, not Trevor. Not Trevor. Mike's still looking at his cards. He's thinking about what he wants to do here. Mike's gonna summon an Arsenal for his turn. That's good. It's a start. Something that he hasn't actually been able to find in many of these games is a strong start. He's at 6,800 life points. Kept getting that wrong. Alright, so I believe he set an armor. End his turn. Played Soul Charge for 1. On to 58. I believe he passed the turn back to Trevor. Drew a Fire Hand for his turn, I believe. Trevor has, I believe, 4 cards in hand. Mike's with 6 total. Means no Excite Knighting here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And no Excite Knight here for Trevor. Trevor did have the Accelerator this whole time, so he flip summons his Accelerator. This isn't the best play, but he knows he has to Xyz to get rid of those armors because there's no way that Hand or Accelerator is going to deal with those face-down armors on their own. He's counting up right now, thinking of whether or not he can Excite Knight, but I don't believe he can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. I believe they're tied if he goes for an Excite Knight here. It's going to summon Direwolf. Direwolf will meet another Blackhorn of Heaven from Mike Jocelyn. Mike Jocelyn Soul Charges, putting in work here in Game 3, allowing him to set up 2 armors. Those 2 armors flipping next turn are going to cause a big difference in this game, if they are allowed to. Trevor's got an armor in his hand, a Fire Hand, an MK2. I can't see what else. An Arsenal, possibly? Yeah, I believe he has the Arsenal. I don't think he ever played that, the one he drew on turn 1. He's going to set a monster. It could be Fire Hand, it could be armor. We don't know as of yet. Mike's going to start by flipping armor. And Trevor's going to tell him to flip the other one, too. I guess then he's going to go face down. Mike takes a peek at his monster, check to see that it's still armor, and it is. Gonna add an Accelerator to his hand. Flip up the second armor, see what this grabs him. This will grab him a Geargiano. He's going to summon MK2. Activate MK2's effect, summon Geargiano from his hand. Mike is very far ahead on advantage after those two armors flipped. This allows him to make the Marauding Captain play with his MK2. Summon Alucard, which will get a Blackhorn from Trevor. See where he wants to go from here. Possibly just flip the armor face down. Keep the advantage going. So yeah, he does. Yeah, you have the accelerator added, so he's going to special summon that accelerator here. Does he want to go for Gigant? Yes, he does. Gigant's going to activate. Going to go into his deck on this one. He's going to grab an Arsenal. And he does have Geargiano in his graveyard, the perfect thing to have Gigant float into. Runs into an armor. It was not the Fire Hand. He may have wished it was right here, but we'll see what he does. He's going to grab an Accelerator. Mike's going to add one card to his back row, putting him at 6 cards total. The Gigant and the armor will go to the graveyard for being beaten over by Gigant. And Trevor will draw for his turn. It is a Gear. Funny enough, we have not seen Gear resolved in this mirror match, which in retrospect is very good for things. It makes these games a lot more interesting to watch, that's for sure. Trevor looks at his hand, seems a little unhappy or happy, depending on which way you look at it. They have kind of a head swing there. He does still have that Fire Hand. Greg, our table judge, also having a good laugh. Everyone laughing now. Everyone's enjoying themselves here. The feature match table. I think he's contemplating. He'll summon the Fire Hand here. Jocelyn's going to give it a read. Perhaps he has Bottomless. He's going to Bottomless it, correct? Yep, there's the Bottomless. That is not good for Trevor. Not good at all. He's going to set one card. And there's the Gear. Summon 2 MK2s out of his deck. Finally see a Gear here during the late stages of Game 3. Mike's going to draw for turn. I believe it's a Fire Hand. He's going to activate the effect of his Gear Gigant. I believe I see 3 wiretaps on the bottom of his deck. That's just not good shuffling. He's going to activate the effect of his armor now. Get 2 accelerators, one off of Gigant, one off of the armor. He's got 2 level 4 MK2s on the field to complement those. He's going to overlay 1 MK2 with an accelerator, make a Gigant, get an accelerator back from the graveyard, overlay that with the other MK2, make another Gigant. That's going to get him the accelerator back again. Still is not normal summon for his turn, but I don't know if he really needs to. He's going to overlay this accelerator with his armor. It's going to make a Dire Wolf, which will pop the back row. It was a Gear, which will be responded to with a warning, putting him at 38, and he's going to summon everything and attack for game. Mike Jocelyn saying, yay, I won the feature match. Congratulations to him. All in all, much better Gear and a much better Gear mirror match than you usually get to see. As Mike goes undefeated still in round 3, Trevor moving down to 2-1.